it's Caitlin. I hope you're having a great Saturday. So today I'm going to be doing a video that I'm really excited for. I've been considering doing this topic for a little while now, probably a few months, and I put a poll out this week on social media asking for you guys to vote on what video you wanted to see today, and it was a tie between a Q&A on drafting and this video. And then I reached out to you guys and I asked for any questions that you wanted to see in a Q&A video, and I didn't get that many questions, I think because it was just such short notice. So I decided to do this video instead since it was a tie, and that's perfectly okay because I'm actually really excited to talk about this. And I think it's because a lot of people wonder about this. I've been asked multiple times this question, and I think it's something that unpublished writers and readers really want to know, but not a lot of people ever talk about it or answer this question. So I will be answering it today, both from my personal experience. I'll be sharing some little story times, and then I will also be answering this broad question. And that question is, how do I, as an unpublished writer or reader, reach out to published authors and or agents or people who are typically seen as like big names in the publishing industry? And you might be wondering, how do other people make connections with them? How do they end up becoming friends? And how can I reach out to those people and become friends with them too? So I'm going to kind of be addressing that question, and it's a question that I wondered before, and it's a question that I wanted to ask, and there really wasn't a lot of discussion about it. But through my own experience, I've kind of, recognized ways to go about doing it and how to do it professionally and genuinely, and that's something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, because I do have several friends who are published, and so people ask me, how did you meet them? How are you guys friends? So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Hopefully you get something out of the video and hopefully you enjoy it. So let's get started. Alright, so first a little background on why this is even an issue. And I hate to use that word issue because I don't really see it as a problem, but it's kind of something that people run into. Why is it that published authors and literary agents are difficult to connect with? Now, first I want to say, in a lot of circumstances, they really aren't. It just depends on how you go about it. So first I'm going to answer though, why is it that it can be difficult to connect with published authors, literary agents, big name bloggers and reviewers, etc. The first reason is they are really, really busy. And you might be wondering, well, everybody's busy. But literary agents, for example, not only do they have to balance and juggle their clients, but they also have to deal with contracts, sift through that slush pile to find new clients. They go to conferences, they travel, they speak, they just do a lot of things. And that's not even considering their personal lives. And if they're writers themselves, then they have to dedicate time to their own projects and to their own writing. So yes, they are very, very busy. And a lot of times what ends up happening is that they get inundated with just questions and, friend requests and lots of things like that, and people who are trying to reach out to them. And a lot of times these people don't have very good motives, which is another thing I'm going to talk about. And so it can kind of wear down on them after a little while. And so while you might think, oh, they didn't, respond to me, or, they didn't answer my email or whatever it might be, it's not that they're purposefully trying to ignore you. It's just that they probably get way more emails, way more mentions and tweets and posts and friend requests than you could possibly ever imagine. And so it's just an inundation. They're getting flooded with it all the time, and they have to divide their time between their clients and their own writing, like I said, and then all the other pursuits that they have. And so it can be really difficult to get back to every single person who ever asks them a question or mentions them on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it might be. That does not mean that they don't want to connect with you or that they're ignoring you. Don't think that at all. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, agents are not scary people. I used to think that they were. I thought it was really frightening and that they were kind of up on this pedestal and I was way down here and I could never talk to them, and it was just terrifying. But that's not how it is. They're super nice people. I've talked to my fair share of agents over the years of querying and at conferences, etc. And they're just such nice people. They want to find great books, they want to find new writers, they want to be friends with writers, but they just also are constrained by time, just like we are in our daily lives. So just keep that in mind whenever you're reaching out to them. The second thing is, that kind of ties into that first thing, is that the people, like I mentioned earlier, who sometimes, reach out to them do not have very good motives. And generally, this is people who are querying or who are in some kind of position where they're getting ready to reach out to agents or, to take the next step in their writing journey. And so a lot of times what people will do is, in order to get their foot in the door, they'll reach out to published authors or to agents or, you know, various people in the publishing industry in order to kind of, you know, get their foot in the door, so that later on they already kind of have those connections. Or maybe it's easier to break into the publishing industry if you know people. And, you know, honestly, it kind of is in a lot of cases, but many writers have been found through the slush pile. So don't think that you have to have a foot in the door in order to get published. That's what the good old querying slush pile is for. So don't think that you have to reach out to people or have like an in order to, you know, be published. That's not the case. Because, however, there are so many people who are trying to kind of make connections for all the bad reasons, after a little while, published authors and agents can recognize that, and they're a little bit more wary of the connections that they make. For example, I will give you my first story time. One of my close published author friends is Janice Hardy, who y'all have probably heard me talk about a lot because she is one of my favorite authors, and I don't know if y'all can see in the frame, but her books are right up here. She's the first signing that I ever went to when I was 13, and that experience was just fantastic. I've talked about it a lot on my blog and on social media, but she was just my favorite author. She was such an inspiration to me, and yeah, I could just not even imagine talking to her. But I did go to a book signing. It was really small, and I got to talk to her one-on-one, like I said, when I was 13, and then we didn't talk for a really long time, for many years. And then last year, I reached out to her and I just said, you know, hi Janice, I went to a book signing many years ago and I saw you and you signed my books, and that was just an amazing experience. And one of the things that she did when she signed my books was she put "to a fellow author" in it. And to me, as a 13-year-old writing my first book, that was just like the most incredible thing ever, that my favorite published author would write that in my book. And so for me, it was just amazing, and I told her that, and I was genuine, and I said, you know, I just wanted to let you know how much that really meant to me. And she responded to me, and we just kept, you know, communicating back and forth, and it just kind of grew out of there into a friendship, and, you know, that's how that happened. But I will give you the warning that through our communications, I did talk to Janice a little bit about, you know, people reaching out, because I had mentioned, you know, a lot of my followers and my friends ask, how can I connect with authors? And so she kind of addressed this, and she did a guest post on Quills and Coffee, and she also kind of talked about this a little bit. And she mentioned as well that, you know, there's people who message her a lot and send her emails, and she can just tell immediately what their motive is. And, you know, they might start out with like, how are you doing? You know, interested in her writing, trying to connect, you know, go back and forth, sharing some, you know, personal things. And by personal, I don't mean like really, you know, deep personal things that are more private. I just mean sharing, you know, some things about their writing journey, their books, etc. And so it will start off really good, but then as the emails continue, or the messages or whatever it might be, she can tell that their voice will change into, you know, will you recommend me to your agent? Or would you read my first pages? Or, you know, would you read my manuscript? And they want something. And that's ultimately where the line is drawn, that I would really say, what is it that you want out of the relationship? Do you want to have just genuine friends? Then I'd say go for it. But if you're looking for something from that agent or that author, you know, a foot in the door in the publishing industry, some kind of critique, a recommendation, a referral, you know, all of those kinds of things, then that's like a bad motive. And so I would say, just don't. And that's the exact word that she said to me in one of the emails. Was she said, people who are looking for that, I really just say don't do it. That is not a good motive for reaching out to authors and agents, and you have to kind of put yourself on the other side of things. If you were that author or that agent or blogger, reviewer, whatever it is, would you want people constantly reaching out to you just because they want things? Or would you want people who want to have genuine connections? Do you want genuine friends? So I think putting yourself on the other side of the table, you know, can really help you to put it into perspective of, you know, is this a good motive? Should I reach out to this person for this reason, or should I not? Another thing that I really want to say is that it often takes time. So let's take a scenario. Let's say that an agent that you follow on Twitter posts something, you really loved it, you retweet it, and you leave a comment, and nothing ever happens. They don't like it, they don't, you know, comment back, they don't say anything, which, you know, can happen. A lot of times they will at least like it, or, you know, because like I said, they're nice people. But let's say that nothing happens and you take that as them ignoring you. Well, that's just one instance. You know, when you look at your Twitter feed, if you have social media, there's just like message after message, and when you're scrolling through it, it can be really easy to lose something. So again, don't take that as them ignoring you or, you know, being rude. It just might be that they genuinely missed your comment. So for me, you know, it's just being not persistent, because that's kind of a bad, you know, indication. If you're constantly commenting, retweeting, bombarding them with things, then that can also come off as just being desperate. So don't be like overly persistent, but I'd say just be genuine, you know, continue following them. Don't unfollow them because they didn't give you what you wanted. You know, if it's a genuine connection, then follow agents and authors that you like. You know, feel free to like, or, you know, occasionally to comment. Just don't think about it in this lens of, you know, ooh, if I leave this, then maybe they'll notice me. Just be genuine. And I think that in this video, that's the word that I really, really, really want to get across to y'all, is genuine relationships, genuine connections. So I think that, again, there is that fine line between like desperation and a genuine friendship. There's definitely a distinction. Another thing that I really want to point out that I kind of mentioned earlier is, don't feel like if you don't know any published authors, or if you're not friends with any agents, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get published. A lot of authors have gone the traditional route and just sent a query and it's worked for them. So honestly, I would say take time and focus on your craft. Don't focus so much on networking. Networking is fantastic, and I highly recommend that you do have some kind of platform, whether it be like a blog or social media, YouTube, whatever it might be. But I would also say don't funnel all of your time and attention into that platform and into making those connections, because in all honesty, all of the connections in the world won't matter if you don't have a product. So you really want to put time and energy into your craft, your book, your product, your work, and then, you know, if you have a network, that's awesome, that can help you. But if you don't, then just go the traditional route and query, and you have the same chance as anybody else who is in that slush pile. So don't feel like you are any less of a writer, or that you are worse off because you don't have a ton of friends in the publishing industry. Sadly, one thing about the publishing industry that I do want to point out, and I don't mean this as a negative thing, it's just kind of a fact that I've seen. I've been to a writing conference before, and it's something that I kind of noticed, is that oftentimes the publishing industry is kind of cliquish, and that sounds awful, so I don't mean it like that, but there's really no other word I can think of. A lot of authors that are in the publishing industry are all friends, and the agents, they all know each other. They're all colleagues. They go to conferences together, they go to events together, they see each other, they refer writers to each other. You know, they're all friends, and that's an awesome thing. But to an unpublished writer, it can be a really intimidating thing, because again, you're wondering, how can I get a foot in the door? How can I break into that, you know, that clique, if you will? And so we often do things in order to get ourselves in that, you know, honestly, we just need to let go of, and it's not really a worry. And I never expected to interact with so many different people. It's just that throughout my writing journey, you know, God has brought me to places where I have been blessed to meet a lot of different people, and it's been amazing. But I'm definitely not a guru who's, you know, telling you guys from the top of this mountain, you know, oh, how do you make connections? I only know like a handful of people in the publishing industry. So again, it's not me, you know, sitting up on a pedestal trying to tell you guys how to do this. I'm just saying that it all comes down to genuine connections. Again, like I said earlier, that's just the whole goal, the whole kind of theme of this video is just, what is your purpose and your motive in trying to make published author, agent, etc. friends? Another really good example in my personal life that I want to share is Kim Chance. So I've mentioned her before. Y'all probably know that I consider Kim Chance one of my really, really good writer friends. She's amazing. Definitely go check out her YouTube channel. She has so much good advice, and I've been following her for a little while now. I found her through her How I Got My Literary Agent video, and so I've been following her since she got her agent. So I know that there's a lot of people who were following her even before that, and they got to see the entire journey. But for me, I came in right whenever she signed with her agent, and I have been following her ever since, and over time it just really developed into a genuine friendship. You know, I watched her videos, I would comment, I reached out to her on social media, and I would, you know, say things. I would tell her what an encouragement she was, and over time, I can't honestly even remember how we got to be close, but we just talked about various things and we shared our love of writing and books, and over time we became really good friends. And whenever I started my YouTube channel, you know, we really became friends whenever I started my tag, which is the Voices of YA tag, and I invited her to do it and she did, and I've been able to see her sign with a publisher, and now Keeper is coming out in January, and so I've kind of watched her walk through a lot of her journey. So again, it was not an overnight thing. It's not you reaching out to somebody one time and then suddenly you're best friends. That is not how it works, and that's not how real friendships work anyways in real life. You know, you don't meet somebody, you might get along with somebody really, really well, but you can never know every little detail about somebody overnight. That's just not possible. So I really want to say, don't think that that's also how it works with, you know, author friends. People don't reach out and then instantly become, you know, the best of friends. It is a relationship, and the whole point of a relationship is that it takes work and it takes time and it grows over time. So I would say if there's somebody that you're like, wow, they're just so inspiring and I just really love their message or their writing, then I would say it's absolutely fine for you to reach out to them. It's not like a taboo thing, oh, you can't talk to a published author if you're unpublished. That is not true at all. But I would also say be really careful about your motive and really ask yourself, why do I want to reach out to this person? Is it because I'm hoping that in the end they'll be able to, you know, help me out, give me like a leg up on the publication ladder, or is it because I just really love their work and I just really want to find friends who share a genuine mutual love for writing? And that's perfectly fine, and I'm glad that I have met so many people who do share that love of writing. But in the end, again, it's all about genuine friendships, genuine relationships, and genuine motives. If you have any further questions about how to make friends who are authors or agents, etc., leave those down below in the comments, or you can message me on my blog, Quills and Coffee, or on social media, wherever you can find me. I try to answer all comments that I get. So don't be afraid to reach out. I love to hear from you. I'm on Twitter at Caitlin A. Lambert, on Facebook at author Caitlin Lambert, and on my blog at caitlinlambert.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!